Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if a teacher's praise can actually make you feel less smart? Today we're diving into a fascinating study that used something super cool virtual reality to find out. This is the big question researchers wanted to answer. Think about it, you and your friend work equally hard on a project. You both get the same grade. But then, your teacher heaps praise on your friend saying how amazing they are. The researchers wondered if your friend might secretly think, they're praising me so much because they think I am not naturally that smart and had to really work hard to get here. This is a concern that pops up a lot in child psychology. So how do you test something like this? You can't just ask kids directly and expect a super honest answer, especially about their own perceived intelligence. That is where this study gets really clever. They used virtual reality, a VR classroom. Imagine putting on a VR headset, and suddenly you are in a classroom with a virtual teacher and a virtual classmate. Here is the setup. Kids would do a task, like solving puzzles in VR, and they were told they performed exactly the same as their virtual classmate. Then the virtual teacher would do different things. Sometimes they'd praise only the child, sometimes only the virtual classmate, sometimes both, and sometimes neither. The whole point was to see how getting praise, or not getting it when someone else did, affected how the child felt about themselves. And here is the big reveal. The researchers thought praise might make kids feel less smart, but across two big studies with hundreds of kids, they found no proof that this happens. No matter if the child was praised or their classmate was praised, the kids didn't report feeling less smart. These studies were super carefully planned. The researchers even put their plans online before they collected any data. This is called pre-registration, and it means they weren't just looking for results that fit a story they already had in mind. They were honest about what they planned to do and what they found. In the first study, they focused on two main groups: kids who got praise and kids whose classmates got praise. They wanted to see if kids who got praise felt less smart themselves, or maybe felt like they had to have worked harder. Again, the results were clear. Getting praise when your classmate didn't make the kids feel less smart or like they'd worked harder. This is pretty surprising, right? Because so many people worry about this. They also looked at other things, like whether kids thought the teacher saw them as less smart or if they felt the teacher liked them more or less. And guess what? Even in these extra checks, they didn't find evidence that praise made kids feel worse about themselves. Now, study 1 was interesting, but they wanted to be even more sure. So, they did study 2 with even more kids and some design improvements. They added conditions where both kids got praised or neither kid got praised. This way, they could truly see if it was the unequal praise or just getting praise at all that mattered. They also added ways to measure how the kids' bodies reacted, like heart rate. Even with these extra steps and stricter measurements, their main predictions didn't pan out. The results in study 2 matched study 1. Kids who got the praise, even when their classmate still didn't think the teacher saw them as less smart. They didn't feel less smart themselves, and their self-esteem didn't drop. Interestingly, in study 2, they did find something. Children in the self-praise condition believed that their teacher liked them significantly more than did children in the other praise condition. This figure really shows it. When kids were praised, they felt the teacher liked them more. And when the child was praised, they actually thought the teacher liked the virtual classmate less. This suggests a different interpretation of praise. Instead of seeing it as a sign of low ability, kids might be seeing it as a sign of being liked. They also checked the kids' physical reactions like heart rate and skin conductivity to see if praise was stressing them out. But nope. Even the physical checks showed no signs of stress or that the praise was making them feel bad. So what does all this mean? The big takeaway is that the common worry that teacher praise can make kids feel less smart might not be true. At least not in the way we often think. The researchers propose that kids, especially when they're figuring things out with a new teacher, are really focused on being liked praise. In this scenario might be a signal of that warmth and the positive connection, rather than a judgment on their actual smarts. The findings suggest there is a difference between how we think praise makes others feel about someone, versus how it makes that person feel about themselves. While others might infer low ability from praise, the praised person doesn't seem to make that same leap about themselves. This study is pretty impressive. Using VR allowed them to create a controlled environment to really test this cause and effect. They combined what kids said with how their bodies reacted, and they did it in 2 big experiments. This gives us a lot of confidence in their findings. Now, no study is perfect. One limitation is that this was in a virtual classroom, and real classrooms have interactions that go on for a long time. This study was a snapshot. Also, the research was done in the Netherlands, a country that values both effort and ability. It would be interesting to see if these results hold up in places with different cultural values. So, the next time a teacher praises you, even if you are not sure you deserved it as much as someone else, remember this research. It suggests that you are probably not going to feel less smart. Instead, you might just be feeling the warmth of being liked and appreciated. What do you think about these findings? Does this change how you view teacher praise? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this insightful, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Robin's Mind Lab for more fascinating science explained. Simply, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.